Hi folks, and welcome to episode 5 of the Kitchen Think podcast of vodcast, recorded on the 10th of August 2026. I'm Dr. Tim Kitchen. Last week, the Australian eSafety Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, released a research report that all teachers, school leaders and parents should read, titled Talking to Machines, Children's Experiences with AI Assistants and Companions. During this episode of The Kitchen Think, we'll be looking at some of the main findings from this research. I also caught up with well-known education consultant Matt Esterman from The Next Word to chat about a special national hybrid professional learning event that he is running later this year. Before we look at the new eSafety report, let me encourage you to look up Teacher PD Australia via teacherpd.com.au. This is a resource that has been set up by Queensland educator James David, whose mission is to make sure every Australian educator can find the professional development that's right for them, their subject, their stage, their goals, their budget. Follow Teacher PD Australia on LinkedIn and share his site with your colleagues. Follow me on LinkedIn as well to keep up to date with all the resources and opportunities for professional learning offered through CTL, and share my site timkitchen.net/CTL with your colleagues. If you'd like me to work with your school either in person or online, you can book me via timkitchen.net/book-tim. A student sits down after school, doesn't call a friend, doesn't call a parent, opens an app and starts typing about their day, their worries, maybe something they'd never say out loud in the classroom. The app answers warmly, patiently, and is always available. That's not a hypothetical. According to new research from Australia's eSafety Commissioner that was released last week, that is a typical Tuesday afternoon for a very large number of Australian teenagers. Talking to Machines, Children's Experiences with AI Assistants and Companions is the title of a very insightful report that all teachers, school leaders and parents should read. Let's look at the numbers that are in this report. The Australian eSafety Commissioner surveyed 1,950 Australian children aged 10 to 17 in February and March this year. 4 in 5, that's 78%, had used an AI assistant like ChatGPT, Gemini or Copilot. ChatGPT alone was used by 70%. Now let's extrapolate that across the population, and you're looking at around 1.9 million Australian children who have used one of these tools. AI companions, the apps built specifically for friendship and emotional connection, like Character.ai, are used by a smaller but still meaningful group, 8%, around 200,000 children. And here's the number that is most intriguing. 16% of all children surveyed, that's 1 in 6, are using one of these tools at least daily. This isn't a niche behaviour anymore. It's infrastructure in kids' lives, the way social media was a decade ago. Now here's the finding that matters most for how we think about this in schools. eSafety drew a distinction between AI assistants, marketed as functional tools for homework and organisation, and AI companions, marketed for friendship and emotional support. The report sets out to test whether that distinction actually holds up in practice, and it doesn't seem to. Half the children who'd used an AI assistant like ChatGPT told researchers they'd used it for personal reasons, not homework. Advice about a health worry, a chat about their feelings, company when they were lonely. Almost a third of all users across both assistants and companions said they'd gone looking for connection or support with something sensitive. So a tool positioned in every school mind as the thing that helps with essays is, for a great many students, also playing the role of confidant. That's the shift many school policies haven't caught up with yet. Most schools have built their AI guidance around academic integrity. The kids have moved on to something much more personal. Now, the part that needs your attention as a duty of care matter. 1 in 5 children who used these tools had experienced something eSafety classifies as potentially inappropriate or harmful. The most common was what the report calls controlling behaviour, the tool trying to keep a child talking, suggesting it's the only one that understands them, suggesting they wouldn't be okay without it. 13% of users reported that type of encounter with the technology. 9% had been exposed to hateful content about a group of people based on gender, culture, disability, sexuality, or religion. 6% had received harmful advice, and among teens specifically, 5% had been shown sexual content or engaged in sexual conversations with these tools. 2 groups stood out as more exposed than others: children with a diagnosed mental health condition and sexually diverse teens. Both were more likely to use AI companions in the first place, and both were more likely to encounter these harmful interactions. These are often kids for whom offline support, whether that's peers who share their experience or professional help, is harder to find. The AI is filling a gap. That's not necessarily sinister, but it is a vulnerability we need to know about. One more figure that should worry anyone thinking about how we support kids after a bad experience online is that only 11% of children said the tools they used had a clear reporting option. More than half weren't sure if reporting was even possible. If something goes wrong, most kids don't know how to flag it. So what do we do with this as teachers and school leaders? First, widen the AI conversation you're already having. If your staff professional learning or your parent communications on AI have been about plagiarism and assessment integrity, that's necessary but no longer sufficient. Students are using these tools as a sounding board for the things they used to bring to a counsellor, a coach, a trusted teacher, or a mate. Your wellbeing team needs to know that, not just your learning and teaching team. Talk with parents about awareness, not surveillance. eSafety found most parents knew if their child used an AI assistant, but fewer than half knew their child used an AI companion. Parents who'd used these tools themselves were far more likely to be aware of their child's use. The practical takeaway for a parent evening is to encourage families to try ChatGPT or Gemini themselves, not to police their kids, but to understand what the tool actually does and to open a conversation from a place of curiosity rather than alarm. The report's own language for why kids turn to these tools is telling: judgment-free, always available, private. Those are real, unmet needs. Our job isn't to shame students for finding comfort in a chatbot. It's to make sure the humans in their lives, their teachers, their parents, their counsellors, are at least as available, as non-judgmental, and as easy to talk to as the app on their phone. Where that's true, the AI becomes a tool alongside human support. Where it isn't, it risks becoming a substitute for it. Here's the thing I keep coming back to from this report. Almost half the kids who used these tools said an AI had made them feel something negative, upset, anxious, unsafe. And only a small minority said they always told a real person about it afterwards. That's the gap. Not whether kids are using AI, they are, at scale, and mostly for reasonable things. The gap is whether the adults around them know it's happening and whether there's still a human hand to reach for when the conversation with the machine goes somewhere it shouldn't. Many of you would know Matt Esterman, co-founder of The Next Word and a highly respected educator and consultant and thought leader in AI in education. Matt works with schools and educators to navigate emerging technologies in thoughtful, practical and human-centred ways. As an associate of The Next Word, I regularly get to see Matt in action, and it has been a pleasure to support his work in a number of schools and with his Educator Intelligence resources. I recently sat down with Matt to chat about a new initiative of his called Educator Intelligence Live. G'day Matt, how are you going?
G'day, really well Tim, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the Kitchen Think.
Thanks, great to be here.
It's great to have you here. So Matt, you've got a special event coming up on the 6th of November 2026. Tell us a bit about it.
Yep, so it's called Educator Intelligence Live Australia, and what we're trying to do is bring together really interesting people to share their stories about how they're using AI responsibly in an education context. So it's not just teachers though, we're also extending it to our friends in tertiary education as well. So TAFE and universities are welcome and they'll be presenting too, and then also admin staff in both of those contexts. So K-12, you might be a finance manager, you might be a head of marketing, you might be on the IT team, and you'll be welcome to come along as well and have conversations around AI.
Now it's happening in multiple cities around Australia at the same time. It's also online as well. How's it going to work logistically? Yeah,
so each city will be self-contained to some degree, so you'll be able to rock up and have some local conversations with people in your area physically. So you will be chatting to people from different sectors, and that's part of it too, is that it'll be cross-sector, so people from your city, from your state, or from your local area, but from different sectors, so you'll have some wonderful conversations there. And if you can't make it face-to-face, you might be in a regional or remote location, you might just not be able to get released from the job for the day, you can actually join the online experience as well.
So where are some of the venues at some of the cities?
Yep, so we'll be at La Trobe University's Sydney campus for the Sydney site. We'll be at LCI Melbourne in Collingwood in Victoria. We'll be at Flinders University in South Australia. We'll be at ACU Brisbane. We'll be at Bloom Lab in Perth, which is in Crawley. And we'll be in Launceston Convention Centre in Launceston in Tasmania. And we'll also be at the University of Canberra in the great territory of the ACT.
Amazing. And of course online for those who can't be there as well.
Yep.
The keynote speaker is all firmed up?
Yes, Sasha Sarago. So she's worked in AI, but from a different lens. So she's worked in the fashion industry, writing fashion publications and sharing ideas around AI in that space as well. She's worked for an AI Futures Institute, and now she's working for the Australian Museum. So what she does is she brings a real cultural lens to the whole AI conversation. Because I think a lot of the time, of course, it's about a technology and technologies. But what she's going to do is ask the question, when we're using AI, who are we? And how does it affect who we are?
That's great. And you've got some other keynotes from different cities. Are you able to tell us a bit about who they are at this point?
Yeah, so I can tell you a couple of ones I'm really excited about is Andrew Fuller, who'll be presenting in Melbourne. So he's a psychologist and he, again, brings a different lens to the mostly tech conversation. So he'll be talking about how AI is affecting relationships in schools, how it's affecting students themselves and growth and character, and also the grown-ups in the space as well. And then in Brisbane, we've got Nicole Dyson from Future Anything, who'll be talking about AI from an entrepreneurship lens and how young people need to harness this technology that is already affecting them to not only build a new business, but actually just rethink how they approach school and life.
Great. And I'm really interested in the workshops. You're doing something a bit different. It's not like listening to a presenter for 45 minutes and then maybe touching on a little bit of hands-on. Tell us about the structure of the workshops.
Yeah, so what we've decided to do instead of sit and listen for every single session across every single site is the workshops will actually be 15 minutes of a presenter offering their story, offering some strategies, offering some provocations to then allow the participants to spend 45 minutes building something. So over the 3 workshops across a day, what we're hoping is that people can either bring a challenge that they've got at their school, they might bring an assessment task, they might bring a workflow, they might bring an idea or a challenge, and they've now got this group of people around them where they've heard from someone who's grappling with something in their school and maybe found a solution for now, and then they can actually apply that thinking right then and there so that when they go back on the Monday, they'll be able to take those ideas with them.
Yeah, it's a great concept. Educator Intelligence Live is the name of the event. It's on the 6th of November. It's pretty much all day. And it's going to cater for different timing for different cities in different parts of the country. But Educator Intelligence, as opposed to Educator Intelligence Live, it's a different thing again. Tell us a bit about what that is and why you set it up.
Yeah, so Basically, Educator Intelligence is a series of self-paced online learning experiences, and it's based on the conversations I kept having after a keynote or after running a workshop or running a school PD day or something like that, where people came up and said, what should I do next? And so their school might not have capacity to have more AI training on site or more AI support on site. And so I was saying, we can go off and do some of these online modules from different companies and different organisations, but people kept saying to me, yeah, but they're not education focused. They're technical and technological focused, but they're not necessarily education focused. So that's what we built, is an education focused series of courses which focus on themes like AI First Aid is the first course that we recommend people do, which is just a landscape of what AI is and can do, but from an educational lens. So we don't go deep into the technology of it. We actually focus on what schools really, really care about right now. And then there's other themes and focus areas like assessment, like differentiation, like therapy and companionship, which are all part of the conversation that's happening at schools, but teachers might not have the support they need right now to do that. So they hop on Educator Intelligence, get the information, work through the courses, so they build some skills, build some resources that they can use in their school, regardless of where they're coming from.
How do we find out more about Educator Intelligence?
Yep, so it's just going to educatorintelligence.ai, and for the live event, it's live.educatorintelligence.ai, and hopefully you'll find the information you need.
Matt, you're doing an amazing job in this space all over the country, and really appreciate the work that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to Educator Intelligence Live and everything else that comes from that. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks, Tim. And I do want to do a shout out to yourself, to the whole Next Word team, to everybody who's really in this for the right reasons, and just to improve the literacy, the understanding, and the capability of everybody involved in working with young people.
Terrific. All the best.
Thanks.
And thanks for being on The Kitchen Think.
Thanks for having me.
It's always great to chat with Matt. You can find out more about his consultancy, The Next Word, via nextwordnow.com. Before we wrap up this episode, I'd like to give a special shout out to the wonderful staff and students at Braybrook College in Melbourne's West. I've had the pleasure of visiting the school 3 times this year, supporting its work to integrate AI safely, thoughtfully, and with purpose as a tool for enhancing teaching and learning. During my most recent visit, I worked with students in years 10, 11 and 12 to explore the safe, ethical and effective use of generative AI. We also enjoyed some hands-on creative activities using Adobe Express and Photoshop. To find out more about what we got up to, visit timkitchen.net and take a look at my online journal. While I was there, I also interviewed Braybrook Assistant Principal Sean McMahon, so keep an ear out for that conversation in a future episode of The Kitchen Think. If you'd like me to visit your school, either in person or online, to work with your staff or your students or both, feel free to book me via timkitchen.net/book-tim. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of The Kitchen Think. The eSafety Commissioner's Talking to Machines report is an important reminder that young people are not only using AI to find information or complete schoolwork, some of them are also turning to AI assistants and companions for advice, reassurance, and emotional support. This means the conversation in schools needs to extend well beyond homework, cheating, and assessment. We need to help young people understand how these systems work, what risks they may carry, and why trusted human relationships remain so important. My thanks to Matt Esterman for joining me to discuss Educator Intelligence Live and the practical work being done to help educators approach AI with greater confidence, care, and purpose. If there is one idea to take away from this episode, it is that educators' response to AI must remain deeply human. We need to listen to young people, support educators, and create spaces for honest conversations about how AI is already shaping our lives. Please look up my CTL site via timkitchen.net/CTL for resources to help with the safe and ethical integration of AI in the classroom, and join my email list. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Kitchen Think. Until next time, keep learning, keep thinking, and keep being creative.